Anyway, hey guys, it's Ems and welcome back to my reading room. Today we are going to be doing the mid-year book tag. I have never done one of these before, so I'm super excited to let y'all know about my beginning of 2024. I do make book content, so some of this will be repetitive, either if it's in questions or if it's been in videos before. If you're new here, thank you for checking out my channel. You can watch some of the older videos that I have, or you could just stay and watch this one, some newer ones, whatever you want. I got this video idea from obviously the Miss Sarah Caroli. We all love her videos, and her mid-year book tag last year, this year, been watching them all. I also watched Larry's book video. Hers was super cute. I watched another one from Miss Katie because Sarah had put Katie in her video, so I watched that one. If you enjoyed this mid-year book tag, you can check out some of their videos. And before we get into the questions, I do want to say that all of their stuff will be linked in the description, and all of the questions will be in the description as well. Their questions, my questions, whatever questions we have in here. So now let's get into it. The first kind of question or statistics thing is I have read 41 books this year and my reading goal is 65. So I am pretty well on my way. The reason I chose 65 is because my reading goal last year was 100 and I did not hit that. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was at like 64 books. So I was like, okay, I'll add 65 and we'll see if I get more, less, whatever. And I have had 2 or 3 DNFs this year. I know I've had 2 and I'm trying to remember if I've had 3, but I'm not sure. But I do know that there's been 2 or 3 DNFs. The first bookish question is the best book you've read so far in 2024. I have 2. These might be a little repetitive towards the end, but Off to the Races by Elsie Silver is actually my favorite Elsie Silver book I've ever read, which is not common. This one is normally people's 3-4 stars. I love Billy, and because I loved Billy so much, I genuinely could not give this book anything other than 5 stars. Her as a main character, like, she's literally my wife. Like, I could not give her as a character lower than 5 stars. I really enjoyed Vaughn, and just the premise of this book was so fun to me, and it just being Elsie Silver's first book, like, I literally was like in love with it. And just look at this cover. It is so gorgeous. I love her. I have another one, and this is another controversial opinion. Please don't hate me. I don't read books for literature. I read books for funsy, cutesy, whatever. And the next book I have is The Play by Elle Kennedy. I'm not going to talk too much about this because it will be in my June wrap up, but I love Demi and I loved Hunter, and the premise of this book was everything to me. And if you have read Briar You and you didn't love Hunter Davenport, like, I don't know how. I didn't love Hunter in the first one, but I absolutely devoured him in his own book. And if you do want to see a more like divulged opinion, you can watch my Let's Talk Elle Kennedy video, where I genuinely do, like, I take a deep dive into just every book I've read by her. And I love The Play, and it is my favorite book, and I don't care that it's a hockey romance, and I don't care if you don't like Elle Kennedy. I loved this book and it was everything to me. If you're looking to read my favorite books, which you probably aren't, but I do recommend The Play and Off to the Races. They are both in interconnected standalone series. You can read them on their own, but I would recommend reading all of the series because you get so much more from them, and you get so much more from Hunter in the books before him. Like, it is just so good to, if you want that found family trope, I would say read just the entire series. The next question is the best sequel you have read in 2024, and that for me would have to be Into the Weeds by B.K. Borson. I devoured this book. I was absolutely obsessed with Evie and Beckett in this, and just their chemistry and everything about them. Oh, I love them so much. I picked up the Love Light series last year, but I picked up the 3rd book. So I did not read these in order, which kind of hurt me a little bit. That proves you can read interconnected standalones whenever you want, but I definitely would recommend reading it in order. I picked up Love Light just because it was like a Target sale, and I picked it up and I was like, oh, okay, I'll read this, because I didn't love mixed signals. I didn't love Mixed Signals, but I picked up Love Light and I read that one and I didn't love it. And then I picked up Into the Weeds and I was like, oh my gosh, I love you, B.K. Borson. You wrote the best book I've ever read. Like, I love this book. It's the best book I've ever read. But I love them, and it was like a 4.5. I don't really remember exactly what I gave it, so I'll put up the rating right here, but I loved Evie, and I loved Beckett. I loved Beckett, and I really enjoyed their story, and it had me wanting more, so I couldn't give it a 5 stars, and because it had me wanting more, I was like, well, like, I don't really go into books that have me wanting you to write it longer. Like, I wanted more from them, and I loved the backstory, and I definitely recommend you read the Love Light Farm series, and if you're not going to read any of them, read Into the Weeds. The next question is a new release that came out this year that you want to read but you haven't yet, and that for me is Funny Story by Emily Henry, because I am a stickler for hardcover books, and I'm not going to buy a hardcover book if I'm just going to read it in paperback, and I don't really e-read yet. I say yet because I downloaded Libby, but I really want to read Funny Story at least by the end of the year, and if that has to be online, so be it. I literally read Happy Place this year because I waited until the paperback came out, but I've heard such good things about Funny Story, and I do really want to read it. Going off of that, the next question is my most anticipated reads for the rest of 2024, and I have a good bit. In that category, I have Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. I want this book in my hands yesterday. I want this book in my hands when I read Wild Love. Like, I loved West, and I need him. And Skylar, just like the way they talked about her in that, I need them. Hey Elsie Silver, I know you're not watching this, but I need a new character like Billy and Willa. Please, 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 please. I love Billy and I love Willa. And I need more characters like that from you because you write them so wow. But I'm very excited for Skylar and West's story, and I just love a good ranch romance. Or they're not even on a ranch. Actually, is Wes on a ranch? Wes may be on a ranch, but I don't remember. Then the next month, we have Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. I cannot wait for this one. The tropes and the playlist ever since New York. Like, I'm literally yelling, y'all. Ever since New York, illicit affairs. I know that this is probably just because they talk about the song in Don't Get Me Started. In between, you got me messed up, bro. Like, I am so excited. I am probably gonna end up going back into Better Than the Movies because it's been about like 2 years since I've read Better Than the Movies. But I'm super excited for Miss Lynn Painter to drop Nothing Like the Movies, and I've seen some of the arts go out, which is so cute, and I'm super excited. The last release that is coming out super, super soon is Reckless by Lauren Roberts. Don't get me started. I read Powerless at the beginning of this year, and I absolutely loved it, and then I read Powerful and absolutely loved it, and I got my friend Noah, I love her. Hi Noah, if you're watching this. I got my friend Noah to read it, and I'm gonna force her to buddy read Reckless with me. And if you want a tandem, I just can't. I'm so excited for Reckless. And I saw a picture of like fan art that was like in the book that you can like order or something. Here, I'll put it right here. I saw it today. Yeah. Huh? Like, I can't. The next question is biggest surprise of this year. And we're gonna start off with a not good surprise. I read ACOTAR, the first one, and I didn't love it. I gave it like a 3. Okay, I gave it like a 3 stars, but thinking about it now, it'd probably be a 2 stars because it just was like, I've realized that I am not a fantasy girly in that aspect. If it's graphic, I cannot do it. Like personally, my brain cannot take graphic. And there was just some scenes that were very graphic in the first book, and I was like, there's no way that I can go on with this series if the first book is graphic. And I like couldn't stop thinking about it. So I was like, we're gonna put ACOTAR down, which was a surprise for me because I genuinely thought that I would be able to get into the Sarah Maas universe, but I realized that I don't think adult fantasies are for me, where a young adult fantasy is a little different. Another big surprise for me is that I loved the Briar U series. We have it over there. I did not expect myself to love Briar U the way I did because I did not love Off Campus, and Campus Diaries has just kind of been there for me. If you want to see more about that, you can check out the Let's Talk El Kennedy video. I don't want to get too much into it, but like, I did not expect to love Briar U the way that I loved Briar U. The next question is favorite author, new or debut, and I'm gonna say this year Miss Catherine Center rocked My Little World with The Bodyguard. I waited until it came out in paperback as I do. And the premise of the book definitely kind of got to me, and I was like, maybe I'm not gonna love this when everybody else was talking about it. And I saw it in paperback and I picked it up and I loved it. I definitely want to read more Catherine Center. I've been putting it off, but Hello Stranger is definitely one of the next reads that I want to read because I loved The Bodyguard a lot. And Miss Catherine Center, she is not a debut author, but she is a new author to me, and I love her writing. Two other authors that kind of rocked my little reading world this year were Claire Gilmore and Anne Liang. I devoured this YA Rivals to Lovers book, and Anne Liang's writing in this was absolutely perfect for me. I gave this like at first when I read it, I gave it a 5 stars, and then I calmed myself down. I gave it like a 4.5. I loved everything about this. They were just so cute, and I loved them, and I love this book. And then we have Miss Claire Gilmore, which this is her debut novel. What? And she's a little debut author that I definitely really enjoyed. I ate this workplace romance up, and I loved their banter and her wittiness, and just the connection they had between them was everything to me. I gave this one like a 4.5, 4.75, and I love them. And I definitely want to check out whatever else Claire Gilmore has out, because this was her debut novel, and I devoured it the way I did. Like, next question we have is newest fictional crush, and you can probably guess. Take a guess. I'll wait. Yeah, it's Hunter Davenport. I loved him and everything about him, but I'm not gonna go on and on about it. Well, Hunter Davenport, yes. And then we have a little bit of a surprise. Mr. Ford Grant. I ate him up. Like, Elsie Silver knows how to write a man, and Mr. Ford Grant, he did it for me. And he was an acts of service king, and him and Rosie were super cute together, and him, book boyfriend, fictional crush. Just everything about him was, like, the way he remembered and shit, everything he did when they were younger. Yeah, immediately knew book boyfriend, and I think every single Elsie Silver character has been a book boyfriend for me. So it's like, of course, Wild Love, of course, Mr. Ford Grant, of course, Mr. West, who's in this, is a book boyfriend. Like, I haven't even read West's book yet, and the way he is in here, I'm like, book boyfriend, you know? A surprising yet not so surprising one is Mr. Colin Fitzgerald. I loved him, and he did this, there was this one scene, and he was like, no, 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 and I was like, like, he just was everything to me, and I loved their story. Him and Summer were just my everything, and I loved them, and he was such a book boyfriend. He's a little nerdy, which I love. I need to stop talking about my fictional boyfriends, so we'll move on to the next question. Next question is books that made you cry, and I'm not really a crier to books. Like, that's not just me being like, oh, I don't cry. Like, I cry a lot. Just not really to reads. I'm not really crying a lot when I read stuff, probably because I'm like blocking it out. But I did cry to the Powerful novella. If you've read Powerless, if you've read Powerful, if you know anything about these books, like, you know why I cried. I love Adina with all my heart, and I would read her point of view a million times. I think I've said that before. I devoured this read, and I immediately cried at the end. Like, I didn't cry reading this during Powerless, but then I got into Powerful, and I was like, especially no, we're not gonna talk about it. An honorable mention is The Dixon Rule. It's over there. I don't feel like grabbing it, but I did tear up reading that. Just, I haven't really like cried the way I cried to Powerful in a book in a long time. And maybe I need an emotional read. Maybe I do need to cry. We'll see. The next question that we have is books that made me happy this year. And I will start us off with a book that I did read this year, which is The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's like so glossy, you can like see. But I absolutely devoured this book. I enjoyed it a lot. And it just kind of brought out those happier emotions in me when they were kind of doing the fun stuff that they do in this book. On vacation and stuff, I definitely really enjoyed this book. And it kind of just brought out those happier feelings in me. When there was also sadder parts in here that did not bring out the happy feelings in me, I think if I think about this book and just the fast pace and just Sarah Adams reads in general, I definitely think of happier moments with this book. This is a reread, but it brought me so much joy and emotion that I literally could not put it on here. I reread Powerless by Elsie Silver and I annotated it. I have only ever annotated 2 books, the other one being Beach Read, and this book is literally my baby. This book made me realize how much I love Friends to Lovers. This book made me realize how much I love Elsie Silver's writing. Like, look at those tabs, y'all. I was tabbing everything. I think there's also just pages of underlines. Yeah, look, there's just pages of underlines. There's no tabs. Like, I just was absolutely devouring this book. The reason I had reread Powerless is because I finished the Gold Rush Ranch series, and there is a part in here where Jasper and Sloane go to Gold Rush Ranch, and I appreciated that part of the book so much more after knowing the characters from the first series, and I just love them, and just the tabs that I got to put and Billy in here. And I love them with all my heart. And it was a 5-star read before I reread it, and it was a 5-star read. It was like a 6-star read after I reread it. And it made me want to reread literally every other book in Chestnut Springs. I just want to keep over and over and over again reading Elsie Silver books. And I have tabs coming in today. And we'll get to that in another question, but I just love Powerless, and if there's any Elsie Silver book I think you should read, if you are a Friends to Lovers girly and you love more slow plot, this one is for you. I love them. Next question is books that I need to read by the end of the year. We already talked about new releases, so I'm going to do some of the older releases that are just on my TBR. I have Past, Present, Future by Rachel and Solomon. I don't have the dust jackets over there because I started this book and then I soft DNF'd it for a little while. I'm waiting until I think the perfect time to read this because I love Today, Tonight, Tomorrow so much that like getting into this one has just been very slow. So I'm hoping that I can get into this when I'm less bored with it, and maybe that'll be during the school year because I think I would more enjoy this when I like need a read, so I may wait for this one. 2 book series that I don't have on me is Addicted Calloway Sister series and the Twisted series. I want to read both of these. I have Addicted on hold on Libby just to see if I ever read it, and then the Twisted series is one that I do want to start very badly. The next question is how many 5-star reads have I had this year, and I have had 4 5-star reads, which is, I can't tell you if that's a lot or not a lot because I was like looking through, I've read 41 books and I've only had 4 5 stars. Like, I don't know the statistics of that, but I feel like it's okay. But I have had 4 5 stars, and one of those 5 stars, like, now that I think about it, doesn't really feel like a 5-star, but I'm not going to change it. Where a little bit of confusion comes in is I have had 2 5-star rereads, which I wouldn't count as new 5 stars, or like I wouldn't count them as 5 stars for this year, but those 2 books could be the reason that I don't have as many 5 stars as I want, because I'm obsessed with them, and I'm like, which was Powerless and Beach Read, the 2 that I annotated, and now I'm wanting to annotate more 5-star. It's okay, I've had 4 5-star reads and then 2 rereads that were 5 stars. Getting into the next question where I was talking about rereads, the next question is what books do you want to reread this year? And I have 2 answers for that. I would love to reread Off to the Races. Yes, I read it like 3 months ago, but I love Billy so much that I want to annotate it. Like, I got my annotation stuff and I want to annotate that book so badly. The next book, these are kind of annotation rereads. I want to reread Reckless by Elsie Silver and annotate that because if you don't know, I love winter so much and I want to dive back into their story. A non-annotation reread that I do want to reread is Better Than the Movies. I talked about it earlier that I read that book like 2 or a year and a half ago, and I am not going to remember anything about it when I jump into Nothing Like the Movies, so I am wanting to reread Better Than the Movies at one point this year. Question is a book you enjoyed with mixed reviews, and I have not talked about this book a lot on this channel, and there's a reason for that, but I am just going to bring it up for a little bit now. This book is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. I devoured this book, and I loved the way that she wrote this. It is the second book after Divine Rivals, and most people really love Divine Rivals, so they didn't love Ruthless Vows, but I didn't love Divine Rivals, so I ate up Ruthless Vows. I enjoyed this one so much more. Just the tension and the kind of, I enjoyed the fantasy aspect of this one. I gave it 5 stars. This is the one that I'm not sure is still 5 stars, but then I think about it and I'm like, oh yeah, this is 5 stars. I loved the characters and I loved the fantasy aspect of this. A young adult fantasy for me is just so much joy, and I loved Ruthless Vows, even though it is very mixed emotions between the people who have read Divine Rivals. We're heading into some of the last questions, but the next question is 5-star predictions, and I have Wild Eyes, but I think Wild Eyes could be a 4.5 through 5 stars because there's this specific thing with Elsie Silver books that I love her books so much, but it is very hard for me to give it a 5 stars if it's not up to my other 5 stars, because I loved Reckless, I loved Powerless, and I loved Off to the Races, and I loved them in such different ways that it's so hard to gauge where my 5 stars come in. So I'm hoping Wild Eyes is a 5 stars, but I could definitely see it being like a 4.5 to 5 stars. Another 5-star prediction is Funny Story. If I get to it this year, I definitely see Funny Story being a 5 star. I love Beach Read, and that was, I believe, my only 5-star for Emily Henry, but I love Beach Read, and I think Funny Story could definitely counter it with all the reviews and 5 stars, non-5 stars, but I have such similar taste to some specific people that I watch that I definitely think Funny Story could be a 5-star for me. Another 5-star prediction is Reckless by Lauren Roberts. I love second books in a series, and I definitely could see if she does it the way that I'm kind of imagining, which I'm really imagining nothing. Like, I'm going into this so blindly that I know nothing. Hi, buddy. Hi. Buddy, stop it. I don't see it like not being a 5 stars, but it could definitely be in that 4.5 to 5 star range because Powerless for me was a 4.75. So I definitely see it either being a little lower or a little higher, but I'm hoping for a little higher. This question I added on my own. It is the last question that I have. New booktubers that I have started watching this year, and I have 2 new booktubers. I started watching I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher this. Katie Wurtruck? I'm so sorry. I started watching Katie Wurtruck, and I have definitely been enjoying her videos. They are super fun, and Sarah Crowley recommended her, so I love anything Sarah Crowley recommends. And then I also started watching Annie, A-N-I Victoria. I started watching her videos as well, and I've definitely been enjoying those a lot. Those are 2 new booktubers that I started watching this year, and I definitely think there's some other booktubers that I watch that I heart, but those are 2 new ones that I started watching in 2024. Those are all the questions we have for today. And if you want to check out people who have done the mid-year book wrap-up or book tag, I have those in the description. If you want to check out some of the videos that I brought up that I've made, those will also be in the description. Or if you want to just check out the channel and leave a like, a comment, or subscribe, you can definitely do that. Hit the notification button and you'll see the next time I drop a video. If you enjoy my reels, I have a TikTok account where you can watch some of the similar reels. If you're a Booksta girly, I have a Booksta account. All my social medias will be linked in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for coming to my little library, and bye. See you later.
I'm not infected. I have papers to prove I'm not infected.